the Central Ontario Standardbred Association is working with you to ensure a vibrant horse racing community. Shared stories call for a united voice. That's COSA, representing the interests of horse people racing at Ontario racetracks. So whether you're first, last, or somewhere in between, we've got your back. With insurance, benefits, free lifetime memberships, and more. COSA. Follow our stories on social and check out the process at cosaonline.com.
Winback Farm of Canada's now home to Meadowlands Pace Champion Beach Glass.
Beach Glass wins the cane pace. Beach Glass.
Well, today it's Beach Glass.
And Beach Glass is going to get there. Beach Glass in front.
He felt real strong still, and when I popped the tool, I didn't think it'd be any worries.
The Beach is back. Beach Glass.
You know it's going to be a horse race, but this one, I didn't think he could lose. I really didn't.
For more information, visit winbackfarm.com.
I'm awfully glad I won.
The Hamiltonian, it's one of the most prestigious races.
It's quite a thrill. It's one of the biggest thrills of my life.
We delivered. The horse delivered. It was amazing. I can't believe it.
I am stunned. I'm absolutely stunned.
This is obviously the pinnacle.
It's just something that I can't explain.
This is just an absolute dream come true.
It feels good now, but I'm sure it's going to feel even better tomorrow.
For me to do it, this is my moment.
I might have got a little excited.
Welcome to Classy Lane Training Center. I'm Jamie McDonald, and today on Twos in Training, we're catching up with Dave Menary, who earned over $2.7 million in purse earnings last season, just notched his 1,000th career training win, and won an O'Brien with It's a Love Thing for 3-year-old pacing filly of the year. We look forward to hearing about his Twos in Training here on the Harness Racing Update. Dave Menary joins us now on Twos in Training. And before, of course, we get into these 2-year-olds, let's kind of rewind a little bit. And congratulations on a couple things. You just hit 1,000 wins this season, training wins. What a career milestone.
Yeah, it's a lot of trips to like Georgian and Barrie, along the way. It's a big accomplishment, but kind of just means I'm getting old too.
You mean you've been in it for a minute?
Yeah, we've been working at it.
And of course, last year, your filly, It's a Love Thing, won the 3-year-old pacing filly of the year for the O'Brien. And kind of what was that like for you guys?
No, she's just been special from day one. Definitely the best mare I've ever trained. And, she was runner-up at 2. She was really good at 2. She was even better at 3. And so far, what I see at 4, I think she's even better again.
That's amazing to hear. I was just going to say, how has she kind of developed into her 4-year-old year?
She looks unbelievable. Josh and Sasha at Spring Station, the owners did a great job with her all winter. Her and Irvin Hanover. She come back in great shape, and we've been in no rush. I've race biked her once, but we bypassed the Ontario Graduate Series and the Betsy Ross, and hopefully she can dance with the big girls and has a good year.
And you had mentioned Irvin Hanover and Dragon on the Beach. You trained the 3 of them together.
Yeah, it's been a nice set coming back. It's the kind of thing I dreamed about growing up as a kid. That whole set, all its marks of 48 and 2 or better. So we've been racing some nice horses, but hopefully we got a fresh fleet of superstars, qualifying soon.
And speaking of racing some nice horses, you had a very busy year last year, double the starts you had in previous years. You have great relationships with Tom Pollock, a huge owner you have in your stable, and back and forth with Ron Burke, some horses coming up and back.
Yeah, they're great people to deal with. Ron Burke and Weaver Buscemi and I have had a great relationship for a decade and a half, and they send. I only get to see them if they're good. So
okay.
When they send them up, they send up good ones, and it makes my job pretty easy. And I've been training for Tom Pollock for probably about 54 weeks, and that's been a great influx of horses. Tom's leading the circuit in wins so far this year, and he sends a lot of nice horses, and we work at it together, that we got the right horses in the right class, and it's keeping us busy.
Never a bad problem to have.
No.
So let's move on to kind of yearlings. When you're looking at them at the sale, we bump into you down in Lexington and Harrisburg and all of those places. But what are you looking for on paper?
Ideally I like high-end Ontario. I'll buy American sired yearlings. Everybody likes dual eligible, but sometimes I'm looking more for a bargain, so the dual eligible to Kentucky's just driving up the price. But I try to find a few feature items, horses that I absolutely love on paper and an individual. If we get a couple of them, it's nice, but then I try to find a lot of value along the way. I'm a little bit frugal, and it makes it easier to get out, or it makes it easier to turn the page on them sometimes when they're not good, if you're not into them for as much money. But we like to try to find a variety pack.
And a variety pack you have here with the OSS program that we continue to come back to each year. Of course, it's just down the road for everyone here in Ontario, or in this area in Ontario. But kind of deciding whether you're going gold or grassroots, how does that play into your training system?
Well, you hope that they're all gold, but you just worry about getting them qualified, and then they're going to sort themselves out. It doesn't matter how much money you go for; it matters how much you get. So we do this because we're dreamers, but sometimes you got to be realistic too, and the horses are going to let us know.
And you do have Bulldog and Cattlewash sires in your barn this year. What are you thinking of them first time in Ontario this year?
It's nice. I've had a lot of luck with Bettors Delight over the years. We're kind of going to be running out of Bettors Delight soon, so hopefully somebody can pick up the slack. But I would say my Bulldog and Cattlewash colts are probably two of my best ones. And I hear a lot of good things from other people. I don't really hear any negatives. So we'll see how the summer goes.
Yeah, hopefully it's a good season for both across the board. So let's get into these 2-year-olds. The first one we're going to talk about here is She's Gone, your Ontario-sired filly, Bettors Delight.
Yeah, this is a very, very nice filly. She acts a little bit like a Bettors Delight. Sometimes she can get a little rutting and a little unruly in the hole. And she probably comes out of a hole better than anything we have this year. She just fires out of a hole, but then can kind of get lazy on the front. Very good gaited filly, big, strong filly that looks like a colt. I think she's really going to benefit from when we get in race bikes, like a lot of the Bettors Delights do. But, I kind of lucked in this filly, and I think Ross Bonifield, the owner, kind of lucked into her too. She was in Harrisburg really late in the sale, and she nicked an ankle just prior to the sale, and they didn't want to, give her away with that blemish, so he ended up retaining her, and I think it's going to work out pretty good.
And moving on to your Bulldog Hanover colt, Scorpion Seelster, you got for $95 in Lexington.
This was our most expensive colt this year, and I thought maybe it would have took a little bit more to get him. He was day one Lexington, and it was the very first Bulldog Hanover that ever sold, and this has been a good mare. He's a brother to Stockade Seelster, and he's a state treasure, and the mare's thrown a lot of nice horses from a variety of sires, and I was kind of thinking if Bulldog's any good, it could really pick up the mare. Now the colt, he's one of my top colts, and in the barn he's definitely the best looking. He's an absolute specimen. But that's sort of one of the reasons I bought him, and I thought it would have took more than 95, but he kind of had a lackluster video. And then once we got him home, the video didn't matter. When I turned him out at my dad's, he walked in and out to the field with a lot of presence, and the live version looked really good, and he's just got a great attitude and willingness to dig in and win.
And how about your Cattlewash colt, Borderline Mobby?
I've kind of liked this colt the most all the way along. He was day two Harrisburg, and I was struggling to get horses. My taste is too good and I'm too cheap, so it took me to $420 to actually get one, and this colt was $520. He ended the day on day two, and this is one of my favorite Ontario colts, and I let a lot of other colts go by that I thought were worth the money. Waiting on this one, I sort of thought it might take my number was kind of like $75,000 plus one bid, and bought him for $25. So it kind of made my day. I went home real happy, and he's just acted the part from day one for a big horse. He's very, very quick, and I thought he was maybe going to be a little bit more of a problem. When we broke him, it sort of seemed like he had a short fuse, but he broke real good, and I thought maybe that short fuse would show up when we threw the hobbles on him, and he's just done everything we asked for him, and the top set all the way along. It's been like training a set of 3-year-olds. So this is the easy part, and from here on in, we'll sort the men out from the boys.
And next up, we have your Papi Rob Hanover colt, Don't Envy Me Hanover.
This was a horse I broke the ice with in Harrisburg. He was the one that was number 420. Fred and I, we're kind of looking for a Papi Rob. This colt fit the bill. He's out of Sistered Up the Credit, and He's been a real nice colt all the way along, very willing. He's on the gelding list. We fell a little bit behind on the geldings this winter, so I sort of got 4 of them lined up right now, and he'll get done next week, and we'll just drive on.
And that decision, are you you want to geld them or wait and see?
I sort of wait and see. If you're buying horses for value, there's a lot less pressure to, keep them stud. If you're buying them all for 150 or 200, there's a little bit more pressure to keep their nuts in. But on a $27,000 Papi Rob or a $20,000 Bettors Delight, I think we're just looking for race horses.
Absolutely. How about Speaksoftlytome, your Sunfire blue chip colt?
This is a homebred of Eric Cherry. Eric and I own the whole colt together, and he's just been a little speedball, right from day one. Sunfire Blue Chip hasn't had that kind of home run or stakes horse, but really his percentages are pretty good, and I think this is one of the better mares that he's ever seen. She's a Bettors Delight mare, and this is his second foal, and the first foal was the filly that won the Jugette last year. So, this colt, he's really growing, and, he likes to go forward, and he's very willing, and, he's on the gelding list next week, too.
And how about better things ahead?
This colt come from Lexington. Very nice colt. Now, the first foal of the mare was Style for a Mile, who was a Captain Treacherous, and she ended up in the barn now. Tom Pollock sent her up. We've raced her once. But she was a captain, and then the mare was bred to a lot of off sires that ended up being good race horses, and this colt's a Bettors Delight. Sort of the first time she's seen a top sire since captain. I was hoping that picked the mare up a little bit, and this colt is one of the best gated Bettors Delights I've ever broke. Right from the time we snapped the card on him, he just went away and paced. He's been top set, one of our top colts all winter. Today he was sort of in the second set. He missed training last week, kind of roughed the foot up in the field, and he's coming right out of it. But I'm pretty high on this colt.
And next up we have your muscle mass colt, not the Hoople.
Not big on his name, but I'm big on the colt. He's done nothing wrong all the way along. He's training with pacers a lot. I have another green shoe filly that wasn't on camera today. It might be one of our fastest ones, but this colt's got the brains. That other filly's got the speed. I wanted a lot more trotters this year. Muscle masses and green Manalishis, and they were just so hard to buy. I didn't end up with as many trotters as I wanted to, but I'm really glad we got this colt.
And last one here that we saw today is Whoa Black Betty, your Lazarus filly.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are putting Lazarus on their 2-year-olds in training list, but this is a homebred of Jesse Bloor from Princeton and Glenn Bechtel, and they just knew that it was too nice a filly to give away, being a Lazarus. If I told you that she was a Bulldog or Captain Treacherous, you'd be like, wow, this has probably been our simplest patient all the way along. She's just very willing, does nothing wrong. Could be anybody's top set, and maybe if the perfect things don't show up, maybe she could have some luck in New Jersey.
Well, thank you for joining us here, and we look forward to cheering you on through another successful season this year.
Thanks very much.